The Indian Constitution is the largest in the world. At its inception, it had 395 articles in 22 parts and 8 schedules. The Constitution of India was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on the 26th of November 1949. It came into effect on the 26th of January 1950. The Constitution replaced the Government of India Act 1935 as the country's fundamental governing document, making what had been the Dominion of India into the Republic of India. The first unofficial attempt at drafting a constitution for our country occurred in 1895 at the instance of Sri Bal Gangadhar Tilak, when he authored the Constitution of India Bill. The continued demand across the country for freedom and self-determination compelled the British to initiate reforms which fell far short of our aspiration for complete freedom and conceded only limited authority to us in the country's governance. The persistent and continued demand for a Constituent Assembly to frame a constitution began reverberating relentlessly in the early 1930s. The provincial legislatures of British India, which were elected in accordance with the provisions of the Government of India Act, passed resolutions demanding the formation of a Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly, as originally proposed, was to have 292 members representing the then British Indian states, 93 members from the then princely states and 4 members from the then Chief Commissioner provinces. The elections to the Constituent Assembly from an electorate comprising of the provincial legislators was held in July-August 1946. However, after the partition of India and Pakistan, the first session of the Constituent Assembly as the Constituent Assembly of India was held on the 14th of August 1947. The membership of the Constituent Assembly of India was 299 and Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the President of the Constituent Assembly. The preamble of our Constitution was, for the first time, moved in the Constituent Assembly on the 13th of December 1946 and it was adopted on the 22nd of January 1947. Under the auspices of Sir B. N. Rao, the preparation of the draft constitution was initiated and it was made ready by October 1947. The draft constitution was relooked, revised, amended and resubmitted by the drafting committee headed by Dr. B. R. Ambedkar nearly 3 times before it was finally adopted by the Constituent Assembly on the 26th of November 1949. The founding fathers of the Indian Constitution have been talked about much, but the role of women in making the Constitution is rarely mentioned. There were 15 female members in the Constituent Assembly and they have contributed a lot in the making of Indian Constitution. Our humble effort is to present a glimpse of the 15 legendary women who played a significant part in creating and gifting the best constitution to us, we, the people of India. Amuswaminathan. She was born on 22nd of April 1894 to Govinda Menon at Palakkad. At the age of 13, she was married to Subbarama Swaminathan, who was instrumental in her education. Ammu was elected to the Constituent Assembly in 1947 and went on to be elected to the Lok Sabha in the year 1952 and then to the Rajya Sabha in 1954. Her elder daughter Lakshmi Swaminathan went on to become Captain Lakshmi, while her younger daughter Mrinalini Sarabhai became a renowned dancer. Her granddaughters too, Subhashini Ali and Mallika Sarabhai, have made their own marks. Annie Mascarine. She was born on 6th of June 1902. She obtained a double MA in History and Economics from Maharaja's College, Travancore, and also obtained a degree in law. She was the first to join the Travancore State Congress. She was elected to the Constituent Assembly representing the princely states of Travancore and Cochin. She supported a federal system with strong centre. She was the first woman to serve as a minister in a state in independent India. Dakshani Velayidhan, born on 4th of July 1912 in Mulavagada at Ernakulam. She was the first Dalit girl to attend school wearing an upper cloth, the first Dalit woman to graduate in India, and the first Dalit member of the Cochin Legislative Council. She was nominated to the Constituent Assembly from the Madras constituency, a staunch supporter of Gandhi, but she also supported Ambedkar in many of the provisions relating to Dalits. Begum Aizaz Rasool, born on 4th of April 1908. She joined the Muslim League in 1935 and in 1937 was elected from a non-reserved seat to the UP Legislative Assembly. She was a strong supporter for Zamindari abolition and strongly opposed the demand for separate electorates based on religion. Durgabai Deshmukh, born on 15th July 1909. She was active in the freedom struggle from the age of 12. She was imprisoned thrice during the independence struggle for participating in the Salt Satyagraha and the Quit India movement. She was a lawyer practicing at the Madras High Court from 1942. She was elected to the Constituent Assembly and was the only woman in the panel of chairmen in the Assembly. She was instrumental in forming the National Social Welfare Board and was its first chairperson. She was first to demand establishment of family courts. Hansa Jivaraj Mehta. She was the daughter of erstwhile Diwan of Baroda and she was educated in England. She joined the freedom struggle inspired by Gandhi and was arrested in 1932. In 1937, she was elected to the Bombay Legislative Assembly. She was member of the Advisory Committee, member of the Subcommittee on Fundamental Rights, and member of the Provincial Constitutional Committee. She rejected quotas or separate electorates for women and was a strong advocate against the Parda system and for the Uniform Civil Code. She was a renowned writer also. Kamala Chaudhary. She was active in the freedom struggle from 1930 onwards and was imprisoned multiple times. She was the senior vice president of AICC in its 54th session and was elected to the Constituent Assembly from United Provinces. She served in the provincial government of India till 1952 and was elected to the Lok Sabha in 1962. A renowned writer whose works centered around the gender discrimination, exploitation of peasants and poor condition of widows. Leela Nag, born on 2nd of October 1900. She was born to a teacher and was educated in Calcutta. She was the first woman to be admitted to Dhaka University for postgraduate studies. She was active in the field of women's education while joining hands with Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in 1921. She started publishing the Jayasree magazine exclusively released by the efforts of women in 1931. She was arrested in 1942, but on her release, she was elected to the Constituent Assembly. During the partition violence, even before Gandhiji reached Nohali, she opened a relief centre and rescued 400 women and tried to help refugees from East Bengal. Maladi Chaudhary, born in 1904. She was educated at Vishwabharati Shanti Niketan and soon joined the national freedom struggle to be arrested multiple times. Along with her husband Navakrishna Chaudhary, who later on became the Chief Minister of Odisha and spearheaded the Salt Satyagraha there, soon to be imprisoned. She actively participated in the Constituent Assembly. However, she later left politics based on the advice of Mahatma that Congress workers must leave politics and work among the people. She continued to work among the lesser privileged classes of the society till her last. During emergency, she criticized Indira Gandhi and was again imprisoned. Purnima Banerjee. She was part of the freedom struggle from the very early days, and she took part in the Salt Satyagraha and the Quit India struggle. She was imprisoned multiple times. She went on to become the secretary of the Indian National Congress Committee of Allahabad and was elected to the UP Legislative Assembly and also to the Constituent Assembly. She was one of the youngest members of the Assembly. Unfortunately, she passed away at the very early age of 39. Raj Kumari Amritkar, born on 2nd of February 1889, she joined the freedom struggle inspired by Gokhale and the Mahatma in 1919 after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. She was imprisoned in 1930 for participating in the Dandi March. From 1934, she chose an austere life, joining the ashram of the Mahatma Gandhi. In the Constituent Assembly, she was member of the subcommittees on fundamental rights and minorities. She was the first woman to hold cabinet rank in India as the health minister of the new nation. She was instrumental in establishment of the AIMS and donated her private property for the institute. Padma Bhushan Renuka Ray. She left her studies at the age of 16 to join Mahatma Gandhi in the freedom struggle. Later, she went on to graduate from the London School of Economics, and on her return from England, she started to work for women's rights and advocated for inheritance rights for women. She was a member of the Central Legislative Assembly, but was elected to the Constituent Assembly later. She served as a Minister for Relief and Rehabilitation in West Bengal and later as member of the Lok Sabha. She headed the Committee as Social Welfare of Backward Classes, popularly known as the Renuka Ray Committee. She was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 1988. Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India, born on 13th February 1879, she joined the independence struggle as early as in 1905. She was instrumental in the formation of Women's Indian Association in 1917. Along with Annie Besant, she advocated universal adult suffrage before the Joint Select Committee in London. She was the president of the annual session of Congress Committee in 1925. She participated in the Salt Satyagraha, the civil disobedience movement and the Quit India movement and was arrested multiple times. She was appointed governor of the United Provinces in 1947 and became the first woman governor in India. Sucheta Kriplani, born on 25th of June 1908. She graduated from St. Stephen's, Delhi and joined the freedom struggle during the Quit India movement. She worked with Mahatma Gandhi during the post-partition riots and was member of the Flag Presentation Committee of the Constituent Assembly. Later, she served as the Minister of Labour, Community Development and Industry of UP. Subsequently, she was also appointed as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh in 1963, the first woman in India to become a Chief Minister. Fijia Lakshmi Pundit, born on 18th of August 1900. She was the sister of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. She was part of the freedom movement early on. She also became the first Indian woman to hold a cabinet rank in pre-independent India. She was elected to Constituent Assembly also from the United Provinces. Subsequently, she took the role of a diplomat. She was Indian Ambassador in USSR and the Indian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. She led the Indian delegation to the UN and was appointed the first woman president of the United Nations General Assembly. She also held the position of the United Nations Human Rights Commission.